Why? It's cool. Alright, sound's working. Fumato Capturado of the Capturado Express. New Coke's revision, like the EAR's ingress. If you see here an individual that henceforth shall be known solo as Fumato Capturado. I initially considered such names as Capturado Mangione to be consistent with his de facto friend and associate, Capturado Robinson. But because of his heritage and because of his appearance, where it can be seen in the image there, it seemed fitting and consistent to match Toto the Lingua with themes of a Latin overture. And this person went into a McDonald's and was recognized. Shortly after gunning down the CEO of United Healthcare. Now, who would do something like that? Someone who is muy fumado. So I bounced around some other ideas, Capturado Fumado, but it just didn't sound as good as Fumato Capturado. And that's his name now. Because he's not a hero. He's not a revolutionary. He's not a martyr. He's smoked out and he's captured. Which is what needed to happen. So for the fucking BBC and CNN and fucking NME and the fucking CIA and Operation Mockingbird and Cooper's Pony Express, Anderson Cooper's Pony Express, there's nothing cool about being Fumato Capturado over here. As you can see, he's shackled to his own waist chains, and there, of course, are shackles on his ankles, and he's being led by an army of police officers, where he's going to inevitably serve life in prison, or at worst, the government will kill him. You know, from his perspective, which is very likely, actually speaking. And when this kind of thing happens, when these kind of people do these things, they claim that they're doing them for a cause, they're dying for a cause, doing all this shit. But what kind of pleas do they enter? And how do they behave in court? Because I guarantee you that Fumato Capturado has a defense attorney. I guarantee you that Fumato Capturado, at least at the present time, is not ready to tell the government I did that. And he's still, I think, asking for your people's money, in fact. So. And I know GoFundMe has some rules about not allowing you to pay for the defense expenses for charged suspects in cases, or defendants. But other sites and other fundraisers don't have that same rule. So there are people that are trying to raise money for this supposed revolutionary. Who's an idiot. And he thought he was so cool with the Greyhound bus thing. He took a Greyhound bus from like San Francisco to New York and then used a ghost gun. And he wrote like a manifesto. Like, he really almost like I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have got caught. Like, I think he was doing some pretty elite work in terms of not getting captured, except for the fact that he let his face get put on the news, and that's what these guys keep doing. And they're doing it on accident, by the way. It's not like they're doing it because they're trying to be revolutionary. Oh, I'm stand for this cause. Here's my face and name. It's none of that. It's like, oops, I dropped my mask. And then they plead not guilty. You know. So when this first happened, there was like a bunch of people that were going on the original New Coke stream from the chat. This happened like 2 days before. They were like, oh, Luigi Mangione's a hero. Fuck you. I'm unsubscribing. And it's like, dude, that guy is Fumato Capturado. He's not a hero of anything. He couldn't even... what can he do? Oh, hero of the Greyhound bus. And it just brings forth more of the same realizations for the people that the NSA can't find you with facial recognition lead technology. Because if they could do that, they would have also found Fumato Capturado that way. And they didn't. He was reported at a McDonald's by someone who recognized him. That's what happens every time. It's never the NSA. So they have to come. They're going to need an excuse for that one, and they're going to need an excuse for Capturado Robinson. I gave them a good one, in case they're watching. Because I'm not against intelligence agencies, guys, at all. You know, these are good things that we have. We have investigative resources. We have the protection of the people and stuff is a very good thing. But when you use it wrong, I'm going to make fun of you. Because that's not what that's for. Not supposed to... The truth, guys, lies in between. There are two spectrums of the people's perception of what the government can do, generally brought up in public discussion. There's either people who think they're like crazy fucking elite, you know, or with like laser guns and DARPA and shit. And guys, DARPA's greatest achievement so far was that robot cheetah. That's what I've noticed. And the internet. So, I mean, they are something, you know, ARPANET and stuff. But are they shooting lasers from satellite railguns? Probably not. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, like a lot of these people that you see online talking, they're just ranting about how overall incompetent and overreaching the government is. But the truth is actually in the middle. Because the government... there are good objectives in it, and then there's also like stupid things. And one of the stupid psyops, that's pretty obvious, is that we saw Fumato Capturado's face, we saw Capturado Robinson's face, and neither of these first two men to board the Capturado Express on New Cokes was identified by artificial intelligence facial recognition. So, whatever's going on over there at Prism Program, I think that there's benzodiazepines involved. Okay. Oh, actually, we have a really wild update for you guys, and I have to tell you guys about this, which means I have to plug this in. This needs to be told to people. I'm just going to take Fumato Capturado off of the screen for a second here. And I'm going to take this off the screen. This is mind-blowing. I didn't know this information. And because of this information, I will never look at the person that this information is about seriously ever again. In fact, I think that they are a complete affront to their profession. John Douglas, the FBI profiler, who has said ridiculous things in the past, whose only achievement in my mind, really, guys, I think the only good thing that John Douglas ever did was identifying that one guy would have a stutter in his profile, and then they caught the guy and he had a stutter. That's his only achievement. It was like one time in the 1970s. Okay? After that, this person became a danger to the American public. Now, the approach I wanted to take with this was talking, because earlier I brought up how there's good elements of the government and bad elements of the government. The FBI agents that I met in real life myself never did anything ridiculously psychotic, unconstitutional, invasive, or unstable towards me and in my presence. In fact, they were very professional, very calm, level-headed, and they treated the situation in a fair way without any destructive agenda. But like any profession, there's going to be some of the people in there, like some grocery store truck mechanics are really nice guys. Other people are Joseph James D'Angelo. And so then say, all truck mechanics are terrorists. No. It's just that some of them are the Irons. Okay. This is crazy. I read this on the Pro Boards, actually, speaking of him. Take that famous FBI profiler John Douglas, for example. Douglas has gotten in trouble in the past for tailoring a profile to match a suspect. This was the Guy Paul Morin case, which occurred in Canada. At the time, investigators there were working the murder of a girl named Christine Jessup and a few suspects, but wanted help from Douglas to possibly help steer the investigation. It was alleged that Douglas somehow found out about one of the suspects, a guy named Guy Paul Morin, who was a neighbor of the girl. With this information, he tailored his profile to fit him. The investigators were so impressed that his profile just happened to match the suspect in every way that they pushed Morin as the top suspect. Now, read about this case for yourself, because I don't want to sit here and read 27,000 paragraphs of information, because it's a long comment. But the gist is that Douglas did a bunch of profiler wizardry, like putting, images of a fingerprint in the interrogation room, and like mislabeling file cabinets to say that guy's name, so that the guy would come into the interrogation thinking they had mountains of evidence against him. And then they released a fake profile about the offender that matched this guy perfectly, so that when the guy's dad heard the profile, he was like, oh my god, I think it's this guy. And then he reported him. And then the FBI interrogated this guy in the room, I think they actually convicted him. And then it took years for him to get cleared by DNA. And this is all because of John Douglas. That's a terrorist, guys. That's not good. That's, if 12/26/75, like a broken clock, is right twice a day, and one of their predictions that's accurate is that Oscar Clifton was innocent, it's the same type of bullshit going on there. But I don't know the names of a lot of those guys. Sergeant Byrd or whatever his name was. Of course, his name is Sergeant Byrd. But you see how there's terrorists in the FBI, and then there's good FBI. So just follow the logic. We need people who come along and capture people like Fumato Capturado and Capturado Robinson. What we don't need is really, really dumb people like Cash Paddle in charge of the people who are supposed to capture Fumato Capturado and Capturado Robinson. Because look what happens. Look at Cash Paddle. I'm going to make so much work. There was a great time that I interviewed Bruno Hauptmann on this channel, and the way I did it was I took Hauptmann's image and then I had his mouth move up and down every time he talked with like GIFs and coordinated all these things. And I want to do that with Cash Paddle, but I just don't care about what he's like. It's not like Bruno Hauptmann, where I actually wanted to give him a chance to exonerate himself. Which Charlie Lindbergh failed to do. So there were bad elements in play there. So there's somewhere lurking is those bad elements. I know this stream isn't really going to be long enough for channel, because we already did an hour earlier on Capturado Robinson. But But I do try to stretch streams for channel. Try to go from one point to something and then rant about how everyone involved with it is really stupid, because then that way channel gets a nice long stream. And he's probably working somewhere diligently at some task. And he'll hear this too. That's the fun part. Okay. Purpose of this whole stream. We'll be back on stream. Capturado. Man, okay, Fumato Capturado. Fumato Capturado Mangione. That's his full name. There's like people on Reddit. There's so many people on Reddit. It's like, it makes you wonder, are these bots saying this insane stuff without any conscience at all? Because you can understand, like, Terminator doesn't have a conscience. So he's just a bot. He just runs around and just does whatever he wants. I think maybe he does actually have a conscience in the movie. And that's a whole moral point. But so if there's bots running around on the internet, on Reddit and stuff, that are saying, like, oh, Fumato Capturado is my hero, we wouldn't know that those people are bots. But I know for sure that there are at least some left-leaning radical types that idolize this guy. And there's even elements of the media that are doing this bullshit and, like, talking about how cool he is. It's like, how do you plead? Not guilty. Can everyone give me their money? Degenerate. Why do these people not expect to get robbed by someone who's famous for shooting someone in the back? That's literally what he's famous for. For shooting an unarmed guy in the back with a ghost gun. And there's people like, yeah, I'd give him my money. It's like, we need to put you on a watch list. That's why I know I'm not on a watch list. Or at least not a serious one. Because, like, what the fuck? Look at what these guys... Give him more money. And you know his representatives are like Nigerian princes too. They're like, our fundraiser, 25% of it goes to. Read the small print, fine print under the fundraiser. But they rely on people who can't read. If they could read, they wouldn't like Fumato Capturado, because they would know what not guilty looks like when you write it out. You know, Fumato Capturado himself probably can't even spell that, but he can say it. And he sure has. So what is this hero? This guy's stupid. I'm not a fan of Leon Zolgaz, okay? But Leon Zolgaz was a genuine revolutionary for his cause. I don't believe in his cause. I think he was an unstable young man with a suicidal death wish. But he went up to the president of the United States and he shot him, and he let people, bring him down in the struggle. And William McKinley died in that incident. And then he never said not guilty. He admitted it, from the rooftops. And of course, what was that girl's name? Emma Gold. There's something that wrote she wrote this whole letter. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe something in Buffalo or whatever. But Zolgaz went to the electric chair. And that was in like 1903 or something. He might have been executed a couple years after that. I'm not exactly sure. I think 1901 was the shooting, or it's in that range, 01 to 03. And then within a couple, maybe even within months, they zapped Zolgaz. But Leon Zolgaz never denied what he did. because he actually was trying to fight for a cause, and his cause, of course, is ridiculous. You know, what's the end goal there is Olgaz. That's why I think he had a death wish, because it doesn't do anything. These people were smart enough, wise enough, to wait a couple years and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go shoot the president." I'm 22 years old, Captain Ronald Robinson, gonna get away with the crime. You know, if they wait a little bit, get some wisdom in you, and recognize that that's not gonna solve anything, and you're in the electric chair for that at a very young age, you know. But it legitimized his integrity as a fighter or defender of whatever cause he believed in. And people knew he was no hero, though I think maybe Emma Gold thought that he was, because she had a crush on him or something. But the rest of the world knew that Leon Zolgaz was a dirtbag, because he was. You know, it's not how you do things, right? There's other ways. There's turning public opinion, educating people, proving things with logic and science, and explaining it to people you know. You don't have to change what's going on in Buffalo, New York. Same with Fumato Capturado over here. This way. Look at what he's done. And the healthcare industry marches on. The exact same way that it did in November of 2024, when this guy was still downloading the PDFs for his ghost gun or whatever the hell he did. So, but he almost got away with it. He just took his mask off at the hostel. Because he's really not very smart. Because he didn't think about disguises either. Because he could have taken his mask off and look like a different person too. But he's not that smart. And he's not a hero. The way it works is like, if your cause is actually heroic or actually noble and good, then there's certain advantages that help you. And if your cause is to be a dumbass and walk in this stupid hallway with 3,000 cops, then things don't go well for you. Because what you're doing is fucked off. Which is what Fumato Capturado was doing. It's not doing anyone any good. And now it's making things worse in the media and in the culture, because people think this kind of guy is cool because they saw it on Netflix once. Not cool. Just trash. Just basura. Basura, Fumato, Capturado, Mangione. Because a lot of times they'll have 4 names. Trash. Smoked out, captured, Mangione. So then people might ask, well, would you feel the same way about him if he admitted to his cause? Which I think is a really fair question. And fortunately, I have a correct moral answer for you. That he would still be an idiot, because he'd still be going about his shit the wrong way, like Zolgaz, for example. But I wouldn't call him a grifter. Which he's a grifter. It's like Dan Grider. Dan Grider and Fumato Capturado would be best friends. But Dan Grider is not as bad. This guy's really bad. And we'll see what Capturado Robinson does, because if Capturado Robinson pleads not guilty, he'll, you know, these two could team up and make a band or something. They've already got a train going called the Capturado Express, so it's like an aircraft or something, I'm not sure. It's like a bunch of those rolling prison library carts that they're going to be seeing a lot of for killing people, which you're not supposed to do. Whoops. It says it everywhere, in every culture, forever. It says don't kill people. It's right there. So, You can, if you have a choice then, right? You can listen to those cultures, peoples, and tell you, no, don't, you're flat earther. That you could, not do that, or you can do that, but most likely what's going to happen is you're going to be on a little picture right here, this way, and it's going to have a caption. It's going to say Capturado, and then like your name or something about you that is relevant, and it has a ring to it. And this guy right here is not going to report me like the Dale Hillians. Hopefully I'll get banned for that too, Brian. Hopefully they've moved on, got a life. It's already bannable speech right there. But it's not even insulting. It's like really, okay, hopefully you guys figure something out. It's not that. Alright. Fumato Capturado. Zoom in full screen here. Boom. He's trying to look all cool in the pictures. Have you guys seen the one where he's like yelling in the courtroom? He's like, whoa, in the courtroom. It's like, you're so lame, dude. Oh, good job fighting the healthcare industry. Nice fucking mugshot. Dumbass. Oh, they came off the screen. What if I like flash? It's kind of cool. Alright, channel. That's all I can do for you, I think. You got this one, and then the previous one's an hour and a half of material, but I will keep trying to live up to your economic content requirements and the cultural ones, because I agree with that cause. I want channel to have tons of rants to listen to, because I remember being in like the electric bike company building e-bikes, and I would have Owen Benjamin playing on my headphones, and it would just like 3 hour stream, boom, Owen Benjamin, boom, Jaronism, all these people. And it was cool because then it flies by and you're learning new stuff or whatever. So if I can help channel have that, then that's a good thing. But Owen's, he streams like crazy. Like 4 hour show every day. It's like, what the fuck? How do you do that? If you're not up to date on Owen Benjamin, you guys are getting a terrible sound here. What's going on with that? There we go. If you're not up to date on Owen Benjamin and you check his channel in like 2 weeks, you'll be like, whoa, 14 videos, oh my god. Or 12. They're all 4 hours long. I can't do that channel. But he exists. Rumble.com/user/Owen Benjamin. And then Jaron is launching a new show, by the way. And I think he's doing episode 1 about the Kirk shooting. So I want to know what Jaron says. Obviously, we're not worried about whether or not the sniper had to take into account the rotation of the Earth anymore. He did, apparently. But I'm excited for that to happen. And I was just talking to Jaron like 2 days ago. It was nothing. See, I don't remember what we were talking about. His new show and like the moon landing stuff. I sent him a picture. I said these look like lunar surface, all this shit. And I found out that he was going to be doing the episode on that. Oh, and we talked about how like his biggest asset was telling the truth in the community after the experiment verified something that he didn't believe was the case before, and then followed the evidence and admitted to everyone, okay, look, I know that the Earth is a ball at this point. And a bunch of people freaked out on him because he had spent 10 or 11 years saying that it was flat and built his entire community on his incredible rhetoric and satire and just gold style. And Jaron is like a pro. And everybody liked Jaron. Even the people who like called him the biggest idiot and everything, you know that they like Jaron because they watched every episode he did. It's like Brenda. Remember the Brenda character that was on Speaker's Corner or whatever? Brenda claimed not to like Jaron, but You know who was there every single show for the whole episode while Jaren talked for hours about Star Trails? Is Brenda. So even the people who didn't like Jaren were actually liked Jaren. So for him to flip on that community, people freaked out. But that's what science has to do. Because the experiment showed something. And what were we saying the whole time? Give us an experiment that shows this. So we got it. There you go. Worked, I guess. Just ask NASA enough times and you'll get something. Supposedly. But I want to see that episode. I want to see what he talks about. I don't even know his angle at all. I didn't ask him any questions. I just loved the message and then I didn't reply or something. But I could have asked questions, or I can just wait until Jaren streams it. And then if maybe, depending on what he talks about, if there's a speaker's corner after that, then I'll go on there. I think I've only ever been there on my phone, which is kind of weird, considering this whole setup here. But it was just circumstance. Great show. And, over there on Jarenism. And people are so fucking dumb with all that. You know how many people are calling him a shill right now? Yeah, Jaren works for the CIA. He hangs out with me on Facebook Messenger. He's an agent. Yeah, right, dude. And he's like raising 2 kids. That guy is not in the CIA. And no one paid him off. No one... Dude, when Jaren first flipped on Flat Earth, we had this conversation and he was saying that, like, he was considering going back to work in retail or something because he was originally a CVS store manager. And he was like, I'm even considering going back to working a regular job. And I told him that what he had done, admitting he was wrong about Flat Earth and then going public with that information, was going to be his greatest financial and circumstantial success. Because it's the one thing that made him the realest truther. Even people, there's tons of these same guys from Jaren's circle that don't talk to him at all anymore, that are big names, because they can't accept it. They can't do what he did. That guy's a pro. That guy's real science. That's an actual hero of information. Not some of these stupid Captorado people that you guys see. No. A successful, married father of 2 who speaks the truth, admits when he's wrong, and does groundbreaking experiments that end up on Wikipedia and change entire movement dynamics. That's a hero. And basically, because when I talk to Jaren, it's always just very, like, real and, like, cool. Not as gravitationally monumental as what I just told you, but I explain the same concepts to him. That, like, what you're doing in being wrong, that's, like, real truthership. And he is. And so all these other fake truthers, like, you're a shill, NASA paid you. It's like, no. NASA didn't pay Jaren. Jaren doesn't have any of NASA's money. That's why he would go back to retail if he had to, and I don't think he's going to have to. I don't think God's going to do that to him. Because I think he's too much of a truther. But he considered that, and he's not lying. Oh, Jaren's lying. It's a double thun. 24-hour double thun. And I don't know astrophysics like Jaren. But, anyway, I don't know the channel name either. We're in our conversation, I said, oh, I saw you launch your new channel, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yep, but episode 1's going to be this. It's like, didn't send, I don't know if the channel exists yet. We have to find out. Now, also, you guys, people freak out less when I recommend Jaren to them, because I've been saying it for how long, like, for a long time. Remember my Prowlin posts in Fountain Valley when I was talking about If you want me to talk about space, go talk to Jeranism. Don't ask me space questions. I was saying it next to the pool table and then also on the walk to the Dollar Tree. Back then, he was a flat earther. Then I was doing something with it. He went and did the experiment, and now he's not a flat earther. Well, now when I recommend him, then people aren't like, well, that's that weird flat earth guy. Now, like, oh, that guy's a pro legend. Even the people who still don't believe that the earth is round after that experiment should still recognize that Jaron is a legend. Because they wouldn't even, if they saw the evidence, would they admit it? They claim they would, but when someone else does it, oh, it's a shill. Guys, I actually never thought that Jaron was as much of a pro as he ended up being until he did it. I knew he was a truther. I was confident that Jaron believed the things that he said up to that point. But I always had it in the back of my mind that a couple different things might happen. One is that he might not go to Antarctica. And the other was that even if he went and saw the 24-hour sun, he would try to find a way to rationalize it or some other way to work it into the azimuthal equidistant model. I didn't realize at the time, first of all, I underestimated Jaron. Second, I didn't realize that he had a mental understanding of the azimuthal equidistant map to which he was so committed that the 24-hour sun would effectively destroy flat Earth in his mind. Well, he did have that. Very committed to the AE map at that time. So committed to the AE map that he told us if the sun is up for 24 hours in Antarctica, it's impossible on the flat Earth map. And this is the flat Earth map. This has to be the flat Earth map because it's the only one that matches any other observations. You can use it to navigate, for example, certain things like that. It explains circumnavigation through flights. It explains flight paths sometimes better than the globe. Certain things like that were very, very compelling to us for quite a period of time. There are examples on the azimuthal equidistant map where a flight path is way more efficient and way more effective than what's currently done on the globe. Or rather, that if you take those same flight paths when seen on the AE map and you map them to a globe, they don't make any sense, but then you map them on the AE and they make perfect sense. So those little things were very powerful to globe skeptics at the time, of which I was one. And Jaron understood that AE map way better than I do. I know that for sure. He actually understands a lot of this really, really gritty information, AE map and the star trails and the celestial sphere and what stars you can see where and all this different stuff. Astrophysical observations that I know nothing about. Because he's been doing this a long time and he's been very committed and he's a very smart guy. And when he went to Antarctica and saw the 24-hour sun, he just flipped. He's a glober. Nobody paid him. The whole thing is on video, uncut. From the time that they board an airplane, they fly to Antarctica, they land at Union Glacier, all the cameras are rolling, never cut. They get to Union Glacier, they set up base camp, they do all this, and then they film the sun for 24 hours or whatever else. Just look up it on Wikipedia, the final experiment. It's very well documented. It's not faked. You can tell. You could prove it were faked. If it were faked, it's not faked. There's tons of documentations, better documentation than the moon landings. At least from a video and photographic record standpoint, because the moon landings had tons of video. We actually have a lot of material from the moon. It's a ridiculous amount. Tens of thousands of photographs, hundreds of hours of video from the moon landings. A lot of it's like junk or just bad camera angles, bad camera work, overexposed stuff, etc. And especially a lot of the photographic magazines. But we're talking tens of thousands and hundreds of hours of video. And Jaren's experiment was very similar to that. Probably on a smaller scale only because it was a small... I don't know how many photos and video was taken, but they have days worth of continuous GoPro footage that never cuts. All to prove that this experiment was real. And the people, oh, you fucking chill. Then NASA paid you. How did NASA pay? Well, he's on a sound stage the size of Texas. It's impossible. They're in an airplane in that footage. It's fake. It's a movie set with an airplane that can fly in it. Ridiculous. There's not. What else? What more could you do? Even the Globers that went there with Jaren and Whitsitt, Austin Whitsitt, approved of the video and photo conditions, and the flat earthers did the same. And they observed a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, which is impossible on a flat earth map. That's it. Oh, he's a shill. Because people, that's not truth movement. So if I can find this channel for you. Whoa. Where is his new channel? Wow. So I didn't know that Dave Weiss was saying all this terrible stuff about Jaren. Wow. Guys, go to Jarenism on YouTube, at Jarenism, and read this post about David Weiss. I didn't know it was this bad. That's crazy. Friday Unplugged will be moved. So I don't see a new channel yet. Nothing announced anyway. But I'll ask him, or this must be old. Yeah, it's old. So yeah, I'll just go talk to Jaren about it and find out what is the new channel, because he's very responsive. I don't actually know how he even has the time to be as responsive, but he is, and so I can find that information out.